I'm really excited that you're here today. How many of you love attorneys? Just raise your hands, it's okay. We've got a couple of them in the room. You know, law, I understand, is scary, but it's a necessity, especially when you go into business for yourselves. How many self-employed people do we have in here? Handful. Who want to be self-employed? Fantastic. I am Kelly Bagler, Esquire. I am with Bagler Law Firm, and it has become my passion to help entrepreneurs start their successful business on the right legal foot. I love this quote because it sums everything up about what entrepreneurship is. Raise your hand if you agree. The rest of you don't? Did you know that in the entire USA, it's only 13% people that actually own their own business? 13%. Which means 87% actually work for someone. Do you want to be part of the 87 or the 13? 13. Along with the rewards comes risk, right? And along with the risk comes rewards. You'd like to do both.
Gotta learn.
So question for you. Why have you decided to go into business for yourself? So the ones that already are in business for themselves, can you raise your hand again? Why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
I didn't want to have to wake up at the same time every day, put on the same clothes, drive the same amount to work every day, do the same task, and then repeat the next day.
As far as we know, we only have this one life, and we have to make it count, right? Every single day. Who wakes up at 3 a.m. every day? Really? No one? Come on. No one? Okay, how about 3:30? No? Don't be shy, raise your hand, it's okay. Four, how about 4 o'clock? Okay, there you go. I wake up early because I want to make sure that I get to choose how the day goes for me. I too am an entrepreneur, I am a business owner, and that's why I can actually relate to you as to what you're going through, what you're going to go through, and how you can actually protect yourself. Today, I am going to be talking about the business legal life cycle. Has anyone ever heard that before? Does anyone know what it means? You raised your hand, you went into business for yourself.
Yes.
Why did you choose to go into business for yourself?
Pretty much make my own schedule.
Own schedule. To be your own boss?
Correct.
Is that a consensus? Did everyone who is in business currently, did you decide to go into business for yourselves because you want to be your own boss? I come from the corporate world. Most of you probably understand and do come from the corporate world. And one day I remember waking up and I felt sick to my stomach. I work for one of the largest international law firms in the world. So I learned a thing or two, right? So I know a thing or two. And I was just feeling sick, getting up, getting ready for work, getting on the same road, battling that same traffic, and showing up at work. And for what? And for who? They used to bill me out at $400 an hour. That's the law firm, billing me out at $400 an hour. How much did I get of that? Take a guess.
A third.
50. $50. Now, is that worth it? Getting up every single day, getting ready, battling traffic, getting to where you're supposed to go, and then you don't know what's waiting for you at work, right? You don't know whether your boss is going to be in a bad mood. You don't know whether a client is going to be in a bad mood, but you have to deal with all of that, all of it. But when you go into business for yourself, guess what? You get to pick and choose who you want to work with. I have owned my own law practice now for, next year it's going to be 10 years. 10 years, that's right, give me a round of applause. 10 years next year. That's pretty powerful. I love waking up knowing that I'm going to control the day, knowing that I get to work with who I want to work with. Who wants to do that here? Every hand should go up. You're here today for a reason. Every hand should go up. Who wants to do that? Who wants to control their own business, the way they work, who they want to work with, where they get to drive? The business legal life cycle. It's a roadmap to where you're taking your business. So when you go on vacation, do you plan for it? You actually sit down and plan. First of all, you think, okay, well, where am I going to go? Well, sometimes you get spontaneous people like here. Wonderful. I would never do that. But you do. You sit down and you plan for it, right? You're going to say, where are we going to go? Who's been to Italy? Oh, look at that, a handful. Who's been to England? 3, 4. I was born in England, hence the funny accent. So you're going to sit down and say, okay, well, I want to go to England this year. Maybe you want to go by yourself. Maybe you want to go with your family. Maybe you want to show your kids, you know, something about the royal family. They don't know what a king or queen does. You don't learn about that here. But you're going to sit down and you're going to plan. So now you're going to say, we've picked the destination. It's going to be England. All right, so where in England is going to be the next step. So you sit down and you say, okay, well, these are the most popular destinations, and we're going to go and visit those destinations. And then you're going to say, well, how are we going to get there? You're going to fly. What's that going to cost you? Can you say it louder? Money. Once you get there, you're going to stay somewhere. That's going to cost money. Then on top of that, you have to buy food, right? You've got to feed your family. You've got to feed yourselves. Pub lunches are the best lunches you'll ever get if you ever get over to England. Pub lunches. So a business legal life cycle is exactly that, but we're talking about the legal aspects of your business. 2 reasons why a business is going to fail. 2 reasons. One is money. You run out of money. And the second is you didn't set up your business properly, legally. You're not standing on a solid legal foundation. Who's in construction? Anyone? We have a hand up. So you must know, if you're going to build a house, it has to be built on a solid foundation, right? Because if it's a shaky foundation and you keep building and you keep building, what's the inevitable outcome of that? It's going to come down crashing. And are we all from California?
No.
Where are you from? Ohio. Where are you from?
South Carolina.
South Atlanta.
Carolina.
Carolina.
Southern things.
I was going to say, yeah. One of the S's, yes. Well, for the majority of you from California. You might have heard California is one of the litigious states out there, which means that anybody can sue you for anything. They don't have to have a reason why. If they're going to sue you, they're going to sue you. And whose responsibility is it to protect themselves? Your own. That's why you have to know, as entrepreneurs, as someone running a business, as someone wanting to open their own business, you have to know the basics of protecting your business in each phase as it starts, as it grows, as you're established, and then eventually as you exit your business. It's because of the risk that's involved, okay? When you are an employee, do you have any risk of going to work, doing business, dealing with clients, and then you go back home? Can anyone sue you? Can the client sue you as an employee? No, the risk is extremely minimal. As an employee, you are sheltered because your employer shelters you. When you're in business for yourselves, who's the employer? Yourself. Who's the employee? Yourself. Who can get sued? Yourself. Like I said though, going into business for yourself is going to be one of the most incredible things you'll ever do. It was the most incredible thing I ever did. If I had to do everything all over again, I'd do it exactly the same way. I have written a book. I am an author. So like I said, I know a thing or two about the legal aspects of running your business. The reason I wrote this book is because I see entrepreneurs pretty much on a daily basis. I've been dealing with entrepreneurs for 9.5 years. And I've seen them struggle, and I've seen them make mistakes that could have been avoided. And I know that there's so much information out there, especially on Google. So if you're going to find something, who Googles? Right, you Google. And there's so much information out there. Most of it is misleading. Let me be the first to tell you, most of it is misleading, especially when it comes to legal aspects of running a business. So that's why I decided to write a business, because I truly do care. I'm not, like I said, just an attorney. I have a business. I am a business owner. I have several businesses. And so again, I understand your pain and your struggle as to how to even start a business, let alone grow it. This book is a gem. It actually explains the 4 phases that I'm going to go into a little bit today, but it explains it more in detail, and it gives examples as well. And I actually do have a couple of books, just a couple at the back.
How much are it?
20 bucks. It's going to be the best money you've ever spent, guaranteed. The 4 phases of your business, the legal phases: startup, growth, establish, and exit phase. Out of the 4 phases, which one is the most important one?
Say startup.
How many ways can you start a business? 1, 2, 10, 15?
Probably a million ways. 2.
What? 1 way. You start the right way. You start a business. How many ways can you exit a business? Multiple ways. The most important phase in that business legal life cycle is your exit phase. Okay, now you're an employee. I'm going to take you back to the dark ages. You're an employee and you've worked for 30 years. At the end of 30 years, you get a retirement package. Yes? You're supposed to. Yes? Yes. So you know that when you do retire, you have at least a little bit of a nest egg that you can live the rest of your life on, or you can add to it through investments. When you run your own business and you've ran it for 25, 30 years, at the end of that business, do you want that business to pay for your retirement? Who wants to sell their business for millions of dollars? It's not about working until you can't work anymore. I love what I do. I am going to continue practicing law until I can't do it anymore. That's what I love doing. But my other business, which is called Go Legal Yourself, that I'm planning to sell for millions of dollars. That's the goal. And what am I going to do after that? Probably start another one, right?
So is it going to work out the way you think it's going to? Like, what if somebody offered you a lot of money for the business that you don't want to sell?
Everything has a price. That's a great question. Everything has a price. Okay, so we're going to touch upon what's included in the startup phase. Obviously, entity formation, right? How many different ways can you form a business legally? Okay, so the top 4 major ones is?
Sole proprietorship. You mean like that? Or
yeah, absolutely.
LLC.
LLC. S Corp, C Corp. Out of those 4, so the first one was a sole proprietorship. Out of these 4, which one is going to give you the most protection?
LLC.
LLC.
I'm about to say.
It's okay, you can talk to me. I'm approachable.
Right.
You know, I'm not that scary lawyer in a pinstripe suit, right? I'm good. Out of those 4, any 3 of them are going to give you the best legal protection, okay? The sole proprietorship is not going to give you any protection whatsoever. So what do I mean by protection?
Somebody.
Assets. So you work so hard. I'm sure most of you here own a home, or you have aspirations to own a home. You have some assets. Who's got a bank account? Maybe a retirement account, 401k or something, right? Those are your assets. And if you get sued, and at some point in your life, as a business owner, you are going to get sued. I know I'm standing here giving you like the worst case scenario, but somebody has to. It's because I care. I care about you, right? So I'm preparing you. And if you're a sole proprietor, you can get sued personally. That means your bank accounts, your cars, your 401ks, and that beautiful home that you worked so hard to keep, it's all up for grabs. If you incorporate LLC, S Corp, C Corp, they can only sue what's in the corporation and not you personally. Extremely important in the startup phase is to form your entity, is to form a business. Anyone can sue you at any time. Your clients can sue you. A potential customer, believe it or not, can sue you. I've heard horror stories. I've seen horror stories. That's why I'm sharing this information with you. You definitely need a client contract because now you have your own business. You want clients, right? Anybody want clients? I'll take some. I'll take some. Sally can sign you up back there. I'll take some clients today. Okay. So when you're doing business with a client, you want to make sure that you're going to get paid on time, unless you're going to do it for free. You're going to start up a business, spend all that money starting a business, and then you're going to give your services away for free. Who's going to do that? You need a client contract. Very important. Independent contract agreement. You might have heard of those. There's a brand new law in California that pertains to those. I don't have time today to go into that, but if you contact me later on, each and every one of you should have my business card. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. My business card. It's got my email address on it. It's got my phone number on it. Please contact me if you want more information on that. The other thing is I'm all about providing you with information, right? Knowledge is power. And so the more knowledgeable you get as far as how to start a business, run a business, and exit a business, who drives most of the time? I know you don't walk. Who drives? Right? Most of us drive. And the best way to educate yourself whilst driving is to listen to a podcast. I do have a podcast. And you can get it, you can download it from your app stores. It's completely free. And I talk about all of the legal aspects of running a business. And it's really fun too because I interview experts in the industry. And they're short segment. I'm all about keeping it short. The three down here, the website terms and conditions, privacy policy and disclaimer, everyone should have those on a website. If you don't have a website, you need one. How else is the world going to find you? They were talking about that earlier this morning when they set up the panel. People want to do business with you, but how are they going to find you? They're going to find you through your website. Those are the three must-haves on your website. Terms of use, you're telling them how they can use your website. The privacy policy, when you're asking for people for their name, because you're trying to build a list now, right? You're going to ask them for email addresses, their name, anything pertaining to who they are. Maybe you'll accept credit cards online. You have to have a privacy policy to tell them how you're going to keep their information private. And then a disclaimer. Basically, if you do anything contradictory to what I'm saying, I'm not responsible. These are the must-haves in the startup. And again, I go into a lot more detail in my book. So again, questions, right, is how important is it to incorporate, which we just touched upon? Do you want to go into business and start making business and lose everything that you've worked hard for? You're going to go into business and incorporate. That means you've protected your personal assets. Most of you might have family. You have to think about your family when you're going into self-employment too. They rely on you. That's their home as well and their assets as well. So make sure you incorporate first. I've heard that legal can get very expensive. Have you heard that? Right? Do you have like a legal fund at home somewhere? I heard chuckles. What's it called?
It's called Google.
Well, you could start a GoFundMe page, right? And call it your legal fund. Right? But legal can become very expensive. And I know that because this is what we used to charge at the big law firms. And the big law firms, that's how they get bigger, by charging you more money. Now, earlier on, I touched upon, I do have another business. It is called Go Legal Yourself. It's another way of me to help entrepreneurs protect themselves, right? Start off with a solid foundation. And what you need to start off your business is these 12 things right here. 12 things right there. All of these, That's what you need in a startup business, right there. Okay? And then you can compare that to what else is out there. I just want to point out to you, whatever you use, you have options. You have options. You're not locked into going to a law firm. You're not locked into going to online businesses where you only get this much of the legal protection, if that. You have options. That's why it's important to incorporate yourself. Okay, the second phase, the growth phase. This is an exciting phase. This is where you get to add employees. Okay, so in California, in most states, they do require at least have an employee handbook. Why is that? Why do you need an employee handbook? When you joined the military, do you remember you were standing on those yellow footsteps? My husband shares a fantastic story with me. He was standing on the yellow footsteps, just looking forward, and all of a sudden, he heard the voice of God. He heard the voice of God. That was his defining moment right there. And you know what God said to him? Please, yes, say it louder. What the fuck are you doing? Exactly. Are you eyeballing me? Sir, I asked the questions. So yes, that's when he heard the voice of God. They gave you a manual, what to do and what not to do. You were told what to do, how to show up for work, how to show up for formation, when you were expected there and when you weren't. Could you grow beards, like facial stuff, right? Could you show up with your pants hanging down here? You couldn't do any of that. Do you want employees to show up at your workspace, at your employment, the business that you are working so hard for to build? Do you want them showing up like that? Depending on what type of business you have, right? But for the most part, no. So employee handbook is very important. Employee application is extremely important because you want to hold the employees and you want to keep them honest. Now, everyone that fills out a resume, right, it's 1,000% true, isn't it? Everything that you put on the resume is to a T. No one lies, no one fabricates. But these are always protect your ass, right? Always make sure you're the employer. You have to always watch out for you. Employee agreements. And then, by the way, did you know you can actually have your lease reviewed because you're growing now and you need some office space? Don't just sign the first lease that the landlord gives you. It's negotiable. It's negotiable. It's always a fun time and an exciting time when you get the right people on your board because these are your mentors. Do you remember earlier this morning they were talking about mentors? Right? You get the right people to mentor you through. This is what the board does. Get some people to sit on your board, mentor you through. And then shareholder agreements. Would you rather hold 20% of a $1 million company or 100% of a $0 company? Your choice. You'd go for the 20%, wouldn't you? Shareholder agreements. And Jim this morning was talking about he lost his very first business to an angel investor who was obviously a shareholder. I know exactly how he lost it, but I'm not going to share that with you. I'm just going to point out that this is extremely important when you're growing your business. Question.
What do you say, 700 billion?
700 million. Million, yeah. Could anybody get over that?
No.
I don't. And that's hard work. Because now that you're becoming self-employed, you're going to get up at 3 o'clock. You're going to get up at 4 o'clock. This is your baby. You're going to be excited to get up. The next phase, the established phase. This is a nice phase to be in. Now that you've created your business and you've grown it, you have other people making you money. Now you're going to start thinking about, well, I'm established in this state, say California. You might want to expand to New York. You might want to expand to Ohio. This is when you start thinking about protecting the brand, right? It's all about the brand. So Coca-Cola, does anybody know how much that's worth? The brand? Would anyone like to own that brand today? Apple, Mercedes. These are all brands that have made it, and they're recognized around the world. I went to India for the first time in 2005. The first thing I saw there was Coca-Cola. Lay's chips. I was shocked. There was Lay's chips everywhere. Everyone recognizes brands. You're creating something that you want to sell one day. And I know everything has a price, everything. You can continue what you're doing, love what you're doing, but if somebody offers you, I don't know, $10 million for your business, would you sell?
I can make another one of these here.
Yeah.
And then you can start another, right? $10 million. But what are they going to buy from you?
Right now, not much.
What would they buy from? I know you're starting out, you're thinking about starting out, but what would they buy from you?
A brand,
Yeah,
maybe
ideas.
some processes, maybe a team. That's about it.
Goodwill.
Reputation.
Exactly. Reputation, goodwill. They're going to buy all of that. They're going to buy the name from you too. And if your name isn't protected through a trademark, it's going to be cost nothing. They can just take it from you. Right? This is building your assets for your business so you can sell them for millions of dollars. The exit phase. How many ways can you exit a business? Multiple, right? You can just close your doors at the end of 30 years and walk away. I don't recommend that, but that is an option. The other option is you can actually sell your business to your employees because they already know it, they already run it. You could also sell it to a third party. You could sell it to a competitor. That's what I'm going to do, by the way. Go legal yourself right here. I'm going to sell it to LegalZoom for millions and millions of dollars. And then when you see me on national TV, you're going to say, hey, I went to her class. I learned a thing or two. Protect the name so you can actually sell when the time is right. When do you prepare for the exit phase?
In the beginning.
Thank you. Say that louder, please. In the beginning.
Plan to exit.
So when you plan your trip to England, you are going to get return tickets, right? So you're planning to come back home. It's just exactly the same thing for your business. You plan at the beginning. I know at the beginning you're just thinking about, how do I start it? How do I make money? Where do I find my clients? Who are your clients? That's a massive tip that I'm giving away to you today, completely free. Know who your clients are before you go into business. Multiple ways to sell your business, multiple. But you have to do it the right way. You have to plan from the beginning. You have to protect the assets of the business. The business needs to own the assets. Not you individually, the business. And then obviously a sale and purchase agreement, that's a biggie. That's usually about, it can run from 30 to 40 pages if it's done correctly. Any other questions, guys? I've completely enjoyed sharing some wisdom with you today. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you.
Take a picture.